from KATV, winner of the Emmy Award for Newscasts. This is Channel 7 News at 6.
Tonight, a deadly flash flood hits a campground full of campers in Montgomery County.
I can tell you it was powerful in terms of the force of that water.
At least 16 people are dead, including children.
There's a lot of devastation in there where it's come along this river.
We have team coverage of one of the worst natural disasters in Arkansas history. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Christina Munoz. Scott Inman has the night off. A camping trip turns into a deadly flooding disaster. Here's what we know about the tragedy in Montgomery County so far. The flash flood hit Camp Albert Pike in the Ouachita National Forest around 3:30 this morning. At least 16 people are dead and more than 36 are still missing. We have a team of reporters covering the story for you. Michelle Rupp was one of the first reporters to see the devastation firsthand. Holly Saunders is talking to family and friends at the scene. But we begin tonight with Roger Suzanen. He is with search and rescue crews set up in Montgomery County. Roger, we understand you recently spoke with Governor Beebe. What did he have to say?
Well, Governor Beebe had initially reported that there were 20 people confirmed dead, but we start, I guess, with some relatively, and I say relatively good news because we now know that that number is only right now officially at 16. But emergency responders say this is an extremely frustrating situation because even though they are working frantically until the waters recede completely, they can't be sure they've rescued everyone that's capable of being rescued. And again, the death toll right now stands at 16, but it is possible that that number could go up as the Little Missouri River's water levels drop. Now, the storm hit early this morning, as we mentioned. Most of the campers were asleep at the time, and unless they were actually awake and listening to a radio, they probably would have been sitting ducks because there is basically no cell phone service in the entire area. More than 10 local, state, and federal agencies are working on the search and rescue. But they have a tough challenge because the National Weather Service reports the waters rose from 3.5 to 23 feet early this morning. Now we're told the water is receding rapidly, but obviously it will take some time before it returns to normal levels. The rescuers are searching a 30-mile area on foot with ATVs and even on horseback, and there is a search helicopter hovering above us. Between 200 and 300 people were in the area during the flood, and emergency responders and volunteers are working to save as many as possible. Governor Beebe says he is impressed but not surprised by the outpouring of support.
You know how people are in Arkansas, and you know how our enforcement personnel are. They, as quick as they could put on a pair of boots, they were out the door and on their way.
Now, Governor Beebe says the entire disaster area is, of course, tragic, but maybe the saddest image from this entire disaster is one he saw of a stroller that was sitting along the banks of the river. Reporting live in Langley, Roger Suzanen, Channel 7 News.
Roger, thank you. We want to show you what the campgrounds looked like less than 24 hours ago. With the help of Google Earth, you can see the cabins along the river and that you're about to see here. Now, all of that no longer exists. Our Michelle Rupp was at the campgrounds earlier today and has this report.
Early Friday morning, without warning, the waters of the Little Missouri River spilled over its banks, rising quickly and swiftly, crushing everything in its path at Camp Albert Pike, including tents, cabins, campers, even roads washed away. Dozens dead, including children.
There's a lot of devastation in there where it's come along this river. There's vehicles that's overturned, cabins washed off their foundation.
This is the area where the worst of the flooding hit. Hours later, the river continues to splash up and across a bridge. Further downstream, you can see pieces of tents in trees. Helicopters circle from above, searching for any signs of survivors. Officials not sure how many were staying at the campgrounds, but early estimates are more than a couple hundred.
There was a lot of people up in through there. It's a very popular place, and there's just people from all over the country, from Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas.
We are actually several feet from the Little Missouri River at a picnic area, and as you look around, you can see personal items scattered throughout. Officials believing that those who were camping along the banks had absolutely no warning of the killer flood that was approaching. In Montgomery County, Michelle Rupp, Channel 7 News.
Well, last night, meteorologist Todd Jacobian warned of flash flooding dangers across the state. And tonight, we want to turn back to Todd for more on what happened and what made it happen.
That's right. And the historical perspective of this, Christina, found out that 1978 in Little Rock, we had 13 deaths from a flash flooding. This exceeds that, obviously. And the Great Flood in Clinton, Arkansas in 1982. And we're still trying to get totals on that. But this is going to end up being one of the worst flooding disasters this state has ever seen. Let's show you why this happened once again. Because Doppler radar indicated close to 6 inches of rainfall, and normally that doesn't cause the results that we had, but the reason is because of the mountains. The campground located sort of in the center of the screen right there around mountains. So the rain came down and ran off into the valley, and it flooded that area, especially along the Little Missouri River. A few miles away, a river gauge at Langley reported a 2 o'clock reading of 3.81 feet, and then that went up to 23.4 feet at 5 a.m., a rapid rise. And did you know that flash flooding is the #1 storm killer? And unfortunately, we saw that last night. So 5 live Doppler radars last night at about 9 o'clock, just some moderate rainfall. It really didn't start, though, until 1 o'clock. We're going to stop this around 12:30. Look at the heavy rain just west of the campground. And those reds just kept developing over and over and over across the same areas. And that's why we had the heavy rainfall hitting those mountains and then funneling down into the valley areas where Doppler radar indicated anywhere from 4 to 5 to close to 6 inches of rainfall. There was an observation there from somebody on the ground there with a rain gauge close by that had 6.78 inches of rainfall in just about a 2 to 3 hour period of time.
Some great visuals to really explain kind of what happened
all the conditions. This was a perfect storm in that one spot.
All right, Todd, well, thank you very much. Well, as the death count and list of those missing have been going up throughout the day, family and friends are left wondering if their missing loved ones are among the victims. Channel 7's Holly Saunders joins us live on how they are coping. Holly?
Christina, well, understandably, it has been a horrific day for the families and victims here in Langley. Hundreds of them have gathered at a relief center here on Highway 84, and they are just comforting each other while authorities are attempting to find their missing loved ones. Now, people are sitting, let me set the scene for you. People are sitting with their heads in their hands, holding hands, crying, praying. That is how they are passing the time, attempting to stay calm while waiting. And it has been absolutely heartbreaking to watch the people who are told that the bodies of their loved ones have been found in the disaster area. I mean, some are so upset by the news, they cannot even be comforted. It is just a very, very tense and emotional situation here. We spoke to a few of the distressed victims who tried to explain what they remembered from last night, and some say they remember people just screaming for help in the darkness. It was pitch black, and others say they couldn't hear anything besides the roaring of the waters and the violent, violent current. And many explained that they clung to trees, climbed trees, and even sat in the back of trucks or atop cars for hours just to keep from drowning.
It's a horrible feeling to be standing there and water everywhere around you, rushing. You never know the power of water. And the flash flood, when they say flash flood, that's what it is, a flash flood. It happened just like that. Within seconds, we're out of the tent, and next thing you know, the vehicles are washing away, and we're in the back of a pickup truck standing there praying for our lives.
Now, Stacy, like many others, just feels fortunate to be alive. But as that death count rises, so do the tensions and the worries here in Langley. Reporting to you live, Holly Saunders, Channel 7 News.
Thank you, Holly. The state's Emergency Operations Center and the Department of Information Systems have established a call center to gather information on possible missing persons. That number is on your screen, 1-888-683-2336. You can find that number tonight on KATV.com. Just look under hotspots. As is always the case, Arkansans have responded in great numbers to help an area hit hard by a natural disaster. Of course, officials in Montgomery County and the Red Cross immediately assisted. Tonight, Channel 7's Jason Peterson takes a closer look at where else all the help has been coming from.
The Salvation Army knows that not only survivors, but also rescuers will be in need of food, relief, and possible counseling.
We've already dispatched 2 mobile units that will provide meals and some staff to provide emotional, spiritual care.
The Arkansas State Police has had at least 30 troopers on scene. Parks and Tourism dispatched 17 Friday morning and more this afternoon. 27 wildlife officers are there, and another dozen are ready to go Saturday morning if necessary. 5 forestry rangers arrived with bulldozers to help clear roads. ADEM sent satellite phones to help with communication, and the USDA Forest Service has assembled an incident management team. The closest 5 counties to the disaster have sent officers, deputies, EMTs, and firemen with trained rescue teams, boats, horses, ambulances, and four-wheelers. All that in addition to 3 National Guard helicopters searching for both survivors and victims from above. The Arkansas Health Department is also doing whatever necessary to assist.
We contacted the local authorities, the coroner, and the coroner did request for a refrigerated truck to be sent down to the area for additional storage in case more victims are found.
And the health department is also prepared to partner with a group called Kenyan International Emergency Services. The group specializes in identifying bodies following mass casualties after natural disasters. Members are in Arkansas and they are ready to help if needed. Jason Peterson, Channel 7 News.
Thank you, Jason. And you can find the latest information and video from last night's flooding on our website. Just go to KATV.com. Well, still to come, other news of the day, including new documents released to Congress on Supreme Court nominee Elena Kagan's time working for President Clinton. Stay with us.
Channel 7 News at 6, brought to you by Steel and by Parker Cadillac.
New memos handed over to Congress as part of Supreme Court nominee Elena Kagan's confirmation hearings look into her thoughts on religious freedom. During her tenure as President Clinton's White House counsel, Kagan helped draft an executive order detailing federal employees' rights to express their religion in the workplace. She also suggested the Supreme Court should side with a California landlady who argued her beliefs were being restricted by a state law. A plant in Dumas is expanding, creating new jobs for the area. The Dad's Pet Care plant was badly damaged by a tornado 3 years ago. Well, today the company announced that the facility will expand and nearly double its workforce. The state is giving the group a 5-year, 4% income tax credit to help it create 44 jobs. The plant already has about 60 workers. Well, despite such horrific flooding last night, this weekend should shape up to be quite the sizzler. Todd's got your full forecast coming up next.
Things and hit the golf course a little bit this weekend. I tell you what, you're going to be sweating like crazy. Mid-90s both days. The heat index will be around 100 degrees. There'll be a little breeze around south-southwest 5 to 15 miles per hour. All right, the rainfall amounts. These are 2-day rainfall amounts. Well, a little bit more than 1 inch in Little Rock. Some places needed the rainfall. You know, we had a moderate drought going on. We still have that in southern Arkansas. And of course, some places just got way too much. And unfortunately, that's what happens sometimes with slow moving areas of low pressure that's able to tap into a lot of tropical moisture. But Hot Springs came in a 2-day total of 1.95 inches, and DeQueen a little bit more than 3 inches. And then there's that heavy area of rainfall across western and southern sections of Montgomery County. Northeastern Arkansas did not get nearly the amount of rainfall as it could have gotten, as that low has fizzled out. It's weakening. It's in the weakening phase. But remember, we've been tracking this thing across portions of northeast Texas. It has moved up into the Ohio River Valley. Not much rain with it now. What's happening is a ridge of high pressure is building in. There's a frontal boundary which is stationary well north of Arkansas, so a bubble of high pressure will put a lid on thunderstorm development this weekend. The best we can do is about a 10% chance each day, so it's not even worth really putting in the forecast, but an isolated shower thunderstorm could pop up. Temperatures were in the upper 80s to lower 90s, so above the averages. We're going to be way above those averages again this weekend, as we showed you in that golf forecast. Rainfall amount since midnight, generally around half an inch, a little dent in the deficit in both locations. You know what they say? It's not the heat, it's the humidity. We could deal with temperatures in the upper 80s near 90 degrees. That's not bad. But when you factor in the humidity, it feels like it's 100 degrees in Searcy, 100 in Pine Bluff, 102 in El Dorado, and 100 degrees in Texarkana. It feels like 99 in Little Rock and in Pine Bluff. National Weather Service has issued a heat advisory for all the counties in eastern Arkansas. There is a chance this could get expanded, but this is in effect all weekend long through Monday. The heat index during the afternoon, 103 to 108 degrees. Yes, indeed, it is that time of the year. So there goes the low, and typically behind these area of low pressures, well, these lows have a lot of air getting lifted, and on the back end, it's sinking. It's what we call subsidence, and that's why we had the drier weather for today. That low is gone. The front stays towards the north. A bubble of high pressure. The chance for rain this weekend, less than 20%. This frontal boundary camps out towards the north. Waves of low pressure will go along it, but again, that keeps the thunderstorm activity well north of Arkansas, and it's just going to be very hot and humid. That front does show signs of getting into Arkansas by next week and upping our chances for rain. 74 degrees for tonight's low temperature, patchy fog, just warm and muggy, the AC humming along. 98 to 103 the heat index in Little Rock tomorrow, and for much of the state, 95 degrees, partly cloudy skies. 7-day forecast. Again, a 10% chance each day this weekend, mid-90s. There are those rain chances next week, and the temperatures come down just a little bit. But it's isolated with the proximity of that front. Because of the heat, because of the humidity, I couldn't go a 10 on the weekend weather scale.
Yeah,
it's an 8.
I think all summer you almost can't, just because it is so hot and humid.
If you get some low humidity in here, then you can up it.
Then it's a treat, but
it's an 8.
Sounds good. Todd, thanks so much. Coming up in sports, will the Arizona heat be a factor this weekend for the Hogs? And this was moving day for Nebraska. Sully has sports next.
Well, tomorrow night in Tempe, the Hogs will open Super Regional play against Arizona State. The forecast for Game 1 looks good for the Hogs. They're predicting a high temperature of only 89 degrees. If there's a Game 3, that'll be played Monday afternoon, and that could be trouble. They're calling for a high temperature of 101 on Monday.
It's dry heat. It's a little different. But you get over 100, it doesn't matter. It's hot. You get in the 90s, it's a little more bearable. So it could play a factor. I think if you get to Monday's game, that game is at 4 o'clock Pacific time. That could be a little interesting.
Bend it in 2. Game time tomorrow is 8 o'clock. Mike Bullsinger will start tomorrow. Drew Smiley will go on Sunday. You'll be able to see tomorrow night's game on ESPNU. They are underway over at Dickey-Stevens Park. Travs and Northwest Arkansas Naturals are playing 2. Game 1 got underway about 15 minutes ago. Another bad day for the Big 12. It's official. Nebraska is leaving the Big 12 and will start playing the Big 10 in 2011. So what's next? A source has told ESPN's Joe Shad that Texas A&M, and Oklahoma State will join the Pac-10 when a formal offer is made. The Austin American-Statesman is reporting that the Aggies are still deciding between the Pac-10 and the SEC. The paper says they've been given a 72-hour timetable to accept the Pac-10's offer. Game 5 of the NBA Finals will be played Sunday night in Boston. Now it's a best-of-3 series. And how about that Boston bench last night? Glenn Big Baby Davis had 18, including 9 in the fourth quarter. And Tiny Nate Robinson had 12. Here's Boston's odd couple.
You know what? I was really looking at the clock like, when is he going to come get me?
I was saying the same thing. I'm looking like we are really
I was like, we playing, but like, timeout go by, he don't sub. I was like, man, he's letting us roll. So, I was. Yeah,
it was fun.
I would have I'm going to give Doc a hug, man. I love Doc.
Tell him thank you.
Those two are crazy. And a reminder, my 9th annual Father-Child Miniature Golf Tourney will be held tomorrow from 9 to noon at Golf World and South University. Can't beat the deal. Everything is free. Golf, trophies, drinks from Pepsi, prizes from Golf World, Sports Stop, Famous Dave's Barbecue, and the Saddle Creek Grill. And it looks like it's going to be hot, and I'll have some sunscreen out there for the kids, but it should be good weather tomorrow.
Going to need the sunscreen.
Yep.
Thanks so much. And here's a look at your stocks. Recapping now what we know about last night's severe flooding in southwest Arkansas. 16 are confirmed dead, with more than 3 dozen missing. Rescue workers continue to search for survivors by land and by air. Their efforts are being hampered by high water levels at the Little Missouri River, which rose from 3.5 feet to more than 23 feet in a matter of hours overnight. Tonight on Nightside, we'll have a live report from Roger Susanna with the latest on search crews' progress. And a quick note, we've been told that a candlelight vigil is planned for tonight at 8:15 at the Langley Methodist Church. We thank you for watching tonight at 6 and hope you join us again at 10 for Nightside.
Channel 7 News at 6, brought to you by Steel and by Parker Cadillac. When you see news happen, call the free AT&T tip line at #77.